I used to think mirrors were harmless. Just glass. Just reflections. Until the night mind smiled at me, before I smiled back. Not a trick of the light. Not exhaustion. I froze in my bathroom at 2:13 a.m., staring at a version of myself that looked deeply amused. And then it winked. That was the moment I realized something. My name is Daniel Reeves, and before this happened, my life was painfully normal. I worked late shifts editing security footage for a small company in Chicago. Quiet apartment. No family nearby. No drama. But strange things started happening after I moved into apartment 407. At first, it felt harmless, almost for every morning, my bathroom mirror fogged up before I even turned on the shower. Tiny fingerprints appeared on the inside of the glass. And sometimes, late at night, I'd hear tapping sounds coming from the bathroom, slow and deliberate. Tap. 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 Like someone trapped behind the wall was asking to come out. One night, I recorded the mirror with my phone while brushing my teeth. At first, nothing unusual happened. But when I replayed the footage, my stomach dropped. My reflection blinked half a second later than I did. I watched it again. If you're watching this alone right now, lock your doors, and check your mirrors. And if stories like this pull you in, hit like and subscribe because what happened next still keeps me awake at night. Some people say reflections copy us. But what if they've been studying us this entire time? That's when I discovered the first horrifying clue. Behind the mirror cabinet, scratched into the drywall, were 4 words. Don't let him switch. The handwriting looked rushed, desperate. Like someone had carved it while terrified. I called the landlord immediately, but his reaction made my blood run cold. He didn't sound surprised at all. The landlord went silent for several seconds. Then he quietly asked, "Have you seen it smile yet?" I nearly dropped my phone. Before I could answer, he muttered something I'll never forget. "Leave before it learns you." And then he hung up. Who says something like that unless they know the truth? I barely slept that night. Every creak in the apartment sounded alive. At 3:07 a.m., I heard movement in the bathroom again. Not tapping this time. Breathing. Soft, uneven breathing. I grabbed a kitchen knife and slowly opened the door. The mirror was covered in condensation. And someone had Daniel. The letters dripped slowly downward like wet paint. I stumbled backwards so fast I hit the hallway wall. Then the mirror cleared for just 1 second. And my reflection was gone. The bathroom was empty. But the glass showed a room with someone standing behind me. I spun around immediately. Nothing. No person. No movement. But in the reflection, the figure remained perfectly still. Tall. Thin. Smiling. Its head tilted unnaturally to one side. And then it raised one finger to its lips. The next morning, I called in sick to work and searched the apartment online. That's when I found articles about a tenant named Marcus Hale. 3 years earlier, he disappeared from apartment 407 without explanation. Neighbors claimed they heard screaming the night before he vanished. But the creepiest detail wasn't the disappearance. According to police records, Marcus had become obsessed with mirrors weeks before he disappeared. Friends said he covered them with blankets. He claimed his reflection moved wrong. Most people thought he was losing his mind. But one witness reported seeing Marcus arguing with himself through his bathroom mirror. I tried covering my mirror too. For one night, everything stayed quiet. No tapping. No whispers. No strange movements. I thought maybe fear had gotten the best of me. Then, around midnight, the blanket slowly slid off the mirror by itself. The reflection was already staring at me. But it wasn't copying my posture anymore. I was sitting on my bed. It was standing. Smiling wider than any human face should. Its teeth looked too sharp. Too many. And then it mouthed 3 chilling words. "Let me out." I smashed the mirror with a baseball bat. Glass exploded across the bathroom floor. For a moment, everything became silent. Relief flooded through me. Until I noticed something impossible. Every broken shard still reflected my bathroom perfectly. The hallway in the shard looked endless. Dim lights flickered overhead. And far in the distance, something was moving toward me. Slowly. Dragging its feet. I dropped the shard instantly, but before it hit the floor, I heard a voice whisper directly into my ear. "You broke the door." No one else. That night, my phone started receiving calls from an unknown number. Every time I answered, I heard breathing. Then a voice identical to mine whispered, "You're running out of time." I changed numbers. The calls continued. How could someone imitate me perfectly? The answer was worse than I finally tracked down Marcus Hale's younger sister, Emily. At first, she refused to talk. But when I mentioned apartment 407, her expression changed instantly. She pulled out an old cassette tape Marcus recorded before disappearing. Her hands were shaking as she handed it to me. She warned me not to listen. The tape began with static. Then Marcus whispered, "If you're hearing this, it already knows your face." My heart started pounding. He explained that the reflection wasn't a ghost. It was a copy. A mimic. Something ancient hiding behind reflective surfaces, waiting for someone vulnerable enough to replace. Marcus claimed the entity couldn't cross over unless the victim invited it emotionally. Fear. Loneliness. Isolation. It fed on those feelings. And once it learned everything about you, it switched places. Nobody noticed the difference afterward. Not friends. Not co-workers. Emily suddenly revealed something she'd hidden for years. Marcus didn't disappear. 3 days after he vanished, he came back home. At first, everything seemed normal. But he stopped blinking. Stopped sleeping. And every mirror in the house cracked when he walked past. Then one night, according to Emily, the thing wearing Marcus eventually confessed. Not with words. With gestures. It would stare into mirrors for hours, touching the glass gently like it missed where it came from. Then, without warning, Marcus vanished again forever. But before leaving, he wrote one sentence on the wall. I returned home terrified. The apartment felt colder than ever. And every reflective surface suddenly showed tiny delays. The microwave door. The TV screen. Even my darkened phone display. It was spreading beyond the mirror. Like the thing no longer needed one doorway. At exactly 2:13 a.m., all the lights shut off simultaneously. Then every reflective surface in my apartment lit up at once. Dozens of versions of me stared back from every angle. But none of them copied my movements anymore. They were all smiling. And slowly turning their heads toward me together. Then they started speaking. Not separately. In perfect unison. You opened it. The voices echoed through the apartment like a choir. I backed against the wall, unable to breathe. And then one reflection stepped forward, out of the mirror itself. Glass rippled around its body like water. The creature looked almost human up close. Almost. Its skin twitched unnaturally, like it was struggling to stay solid. Its smile stretched too wide. But the eyes were the worst part. They looked empty, yet starving. It reached toward me slowly and whispered, "I've waited so long for your life." The thing knew everything about me. My memories. My childhood dog's name. The song my mother sang before she died. Secrets I'd never spoken aloud. It had been learning me piece by piece through every glance into the mirror. Every morning routine. I ran for the apartment door, but it slammed shut on its own. Behind me, dozens of reflections crawled from shattered glass fragments. Not walking. Crawling. Their limbs bent backward as they dragged themselves closer. The apartment filled with whispers repeating my name. Who could I trust when even my own face had turned against me? Then my phone rang again. Unknown number. Against every instinct, I answered. A terrified voice screamed, "Don't look at them." It was Marcus. Or at least, the real Marcus. He claimed he was trapped behind the reflections and only had seconds to help me escape. Marcus told me the copies only gain power when you recognize them as yourself. You have to reject your reflection completely, he yelled. How do you ignore your own face? I shouted back. But before he could answer, the line cut dead. And every reflection in the room, the main creature tilted its head and said something that shattered me emotionally. You already invited me in. Then memories flooded my mind. All the lonely nights. All the moments I stared into mirrors hating myself. The grief. The isolation. The creature moved closer until its face nearly touched mine. And for one horrifying second, I saw my own reflection trapped inside its eyes. Screaming. Pounding against invisible walls. How many others were trapped in there too? The answer appeared moments later. Faces began emerging beneath the creature's skin. Dozens of them. Men. Women. Children. All silently screaming as though buried alive beneath glass. Marcus was there too. His eyes locked onto mine desperately. The entity smiled wider and whispered, I remembered something Marcus said on the tape. It needs recognition. So I closed my eyes. Completely. No matter what sound surrounded me, I refused to look. The whispers became furious. Furniture crashed around the apartment. Something clawed inches from my face. Then I heard my mother's voice crying for help. Impossible. She'd been dead for 8 years. The voice sounded painfully real. It begged me to open my eyes just once. Was the entity creating illusions? Or had it pulled memories straight from my soul? I nearly opened my eyes when icy fingers touched my forehead. Then another voice whispered softly, "Don't trust it." This voice felt different. Human. Marcus. He guided me slowly toward the apartment exit while the creatures screamed behind us. But the hallway outside looked complete. Apartment 407 was gone. Instead, an endless corridor stretched in both directions beneath flickering lights. The exact hallway from the broken shard. Doors lined the walls endlessly, each with different names scratched into metal. Thousands of names. Marcus finally appeared beside me. Or what remained of him. He looked faded, almost transparent. Like a reflection losing shape. He explained the hallway existed between worlds, a prison for stolen identities. Every door belonged to someone replaced by the mimic. Marcus said there was only one escape. Someone had to willingly stay behind while the other returned. I stared at him in disbelief. He'd been trapped there for years. Now he wanted me to leave him behind again. But then he revealed one final devastating secret. Marcus wasn't the victim. He was the first copy. The real Marcus died years ago. The thing pretending to help me had only grown guilty over time. Every warning. Every tape. Every attempt to stop the cycle came from a monster learning regret. The hallway began collapsing violently. Doors slammed open around us. Shadowy figures crawled out, whispering in broken voices. Marcus grabbed my arm and shoved me toward a glowing doorway. "You still have a chance to live," he yelled. But behind him, the original entity was. I ran. The glowing doorway pulsed brighter with every step. Behind me, screams echoed endlessly through the corridor. At the last second, I looked back. Marcus smiled sadly before the shadows dragged him into darkness. Then the doorway swallowed me whole. And suddenly, morning sunlight poured through the window. The shattered mirror was completely restored. No broken glass. No hallway. No creatures. For one beautiful moment, I thought it was over. Then my phone buzzed. A new voicemail had arrived. The voicemail contained only one sentence. A sentence spoken in my exact voice. "You left someone behind." I couldn't breathe. Slowly, I looked toward the bathroom mirror. My reflection stared back normally at first. I moved out 2 days later. New city. New apartment. New mirrors. But sometimes, late at night, reflections still pause for half a second too long. And yesterday morning, someone behind my mirror whispered my name again. So